welcome. I'm your host, Amaru Shakur. Doug and Baby Yoda are on vacation right now. This is our First Amendment Auditors segment. This segment is about three gentlemen I had the pleasure of interviewing and talking with. Now, if you aren't sure what First Amendment auditors are, they're basically, they are people who exercise their right to use their First Amendment, right? So I met with these gentlemen and I was able to get an understanding, what they experience and what they go through. Welcome to ERCTv. I am here with My Eye on You. How you doing today?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
All right. Now, for the people who may not know who you are, could you give us a little brief background on yourself?
Well, basically, I'm just a, we like to say, a civil rights investigator. We go out and watch our government, pay attention to all forms of government, record our government, investigate the corruption, and try to protect we the people.
Okay. And what made you want to do what you're doing now?
There's a lot of different things. I mean, just watching the corruption, seeing how they treat people, seeing how law enforcement has gotten so aggressive. They're militarizing, so they get pretty aggressive with people. Just a lot of different things. I mean, anytime you see what goes on and you watch other people get hurt by them, it becomes a mission, and the mission's just simple. Get them to understand that what they're doing is unconstitutional most of the time, against their policies a lot of times, against the Supreme Court, especially the state Supreme Court.
Okay. And how long have you been doing what you are doing?
Probably, on video and that, probably getting close to 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Now, in those 2 years, I know I follow you guys' channel. I know y'all have experienced some crazy things. What would you say would be one of the craziest things you've experienced that you've captured with your camera?
Wild Bill in Mayo. That's that one's pretty famous. That one there is, it's been viewed probably at least over 1 million times all over the world. It entails a whole lot of different things, and if there's only one thing that comes from them videos, if you watch them, is make sure you always have your camera available, make sure you're always recording the police, make sure you always have that handy, because if we wasn't recording that day, including when we were being followed and when we had somebody in front of us, we were going to get arrested. That's what that was all about.
Right.
The live feed saved us. It tells the truth. Video don't lie. They don't lie.
All right. What would you like to see come out of what you are doing?
The end of corruption. As far as government, full transparency. As far as law enforcement, they're talking about defunding them. I don't think the defund is mean get rid of them altogether. We need cops. Cops ain't a bad thing, and we don't hate cops. We just hate the bad ones. And we need to first of all get rid of qualified immunity. Police unions are the most corrupt union in the business. They fight against you. They'll stick up for the cop no matter whether it's real or whether it's not. They can murder you and do it and run scot-free. Get law enforcement not to investigate themselves. That's a lot of corruption. A lot of times when an officer does something wrong, it just gets overlooked. We were talking earlier about how they'll just give them a talking to and it won't even go into an investigation at all. There's many other things. Body cameras on, and where they can't turn them on and off, but they're on all the time, especially when they're out on duty. It'd be nice to have a central location where all body cameras are able to be viewed by the public for free. Anything that can help show that a police officer is doing his job. You know, they should have to carry their own insurance, just like a doctor does. Yes, there's been arguments of how they can afford it. Well, maybe a pay increase. I mean, you know, I would go for increased taxes to help pay them a few dollars more just to pay for the insurance, but it's their insurance policy, so they won't mess up as easy.
How can people follow you on YouTube or Facebook?
Facebook is My Eye on You, and YouTube is My Eye on You also.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
For a dirt farmer, how you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me here on your page.
No problem, no problem. Myself personally, I've been a fan of your page the longest. I support all you guys' pages, but I've been a fan and a subscriber of yours the longest. Tell me a little bit, how did you get into what you were doing, and a little bit about what you do?
Well, I like to just think I'm mostly just an American. We have a lot of people out here that are First Amendment auditors, which means that they go around to public places to expose what the government will do to them just for merely showing up with a camera. And we have a right to watch our government work in a free country. But yet it seems like whenever an American tries to watch their government work, well, if you've watched any First Amendment auditor activist videos, you'll see the problems that are created, and not by the guy with the camera. You know, almost every single case I've ever watched, and there may be one or two out there which I haven't seen, but the guy with the camera never starts problems. He just merely walks in somewhere with the camera, and he's either instantly attacked or slowly attacked. But either way, the guy with the camera ends up the bad guy.
Right.
You know, it's like we're supposed to be able to watch our government work. But if we use that right, it's like they're trying to make us lose that right. So we have rights as long as we don't try to use them. And that's what I think started the First Amendment auditor community. And it was around a long time. It's been back since VCR days. Well, back in the day, there was a man, I think it was, don't quote me, but Tom Zebra. He went around with a VCR camera. And he actually still has videos from back then that he never published. But so people have been watching the police on camera for a long time. It just seems like nowadays, I don't know why, but the people are more against us watching our government work than the government actually is.
How do you feel about the corruption of police being affected by social media nowadays?
The police don't like it one bit, even though they use social media. They don't want us to use it. The advertisers of society today are pretty well keeping social media from exposing what the police are doing, the corruption, because no one wants to advertise on a page that is exposing police corruption, which to me, you know, that if the government's being controlled by the advertisers and the media's being controlled by the advertisers, does that mean we live in a fascist society now?
Why do you feel the need to expose, police corruption, and how do you feel about people who may not want to see these things?
Well, that's the problem. If we don't expose them, how's anyone ever going to know what's going on? You know, I mean, the reason people are protesting all around the globe, I mean, the whole earth, is because of police corruption and government corruption. You know, and if the media will not put it on any of the pages that they advertise on, well, if you hide it, that means it's not there in some people's eyes. But the protests have started because of this. This is a long time coming. This didn't just start. And our cameras are what is exposing this because the media won't.
Throughout your travels and what you've been doing, what would you say would be your wildest or crazy experience you've ever filmed?
There's been so many. They've tried to run us over with cars and trucks. They've attacked us with spray paint, threatened us with going to jail for not breaking any laws at all. It's hard to say any one thing.
Right.
You know, The most exposure we've had was Mayo, Florida. I mean, them people, the way they act at that time and since then, it's amazing.
And I'll drop a link in the description of this video. Could you tell the people what happened a little bit in Mayo, Florida, just briefly?
We showed up to do some news stories about some events that weren't being covered by the media. The police were not given any information about these, let's say, news stories. We did our stories, walked around town for 2 hours live on the internet, went to have a pizza, sat down, ate our pizza. We were just fixing to leave, and then we were accosted by one of the locals who decided he didn't like us there, and he was going to paint us black because basically he thought we were part of some protest movement which he wasn't going to agree with or stand to have in his town. So he decided to go next door to the hardware store. He got a can of paint, come back. He assaulted us. He broke my phone and spray painted us. And he got one charge for, he was shoving cops around, dragging them down the sidewalk. I mean, anybody else would have got arrested for, resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, but not him. He got one charge because the whole town's behind him. He got charged with battery, that's it.
So what was the outcome of that situation? Did he actually sit in a jail cell, or did he just get charged with that?
He was released. He's going to arraignment sometime next month he's got charged 1 count of battery. And if anybody watches that video, and you can count a lot of charges, and a regular person that wasn't a friend of the police would have had a stack of charges. He got 1 charge for assaulting me and 1 charge for assaulting DC. And that was it. He'll probably get out with a fine. No jury in the world's gonna find him guilty in that town.
Right. What would you like to see coming out of exposing the police corruption and all the injustice you see throughout these small towns, within Florida?
I think they're gonna have to totally redo all the police departments. Everybody in there needs to be checked. With all the different crimes that they've been accused of, convicted of, and they still have their jobs, you're gonna have to change a lot of heads. I mean, you can't continue this system the way it's gone. It's out of control. It's like a broke down truck. Once it gets so far gone, you gotta replace it. And that's how I feel the system. The people that are involved, they all need replaced.
And how can people follow you on your social media platforms and YouTube?
Well, I'm the poor dirt farmer, but they don't like what I put on my page. So a lot of people complain because they don't want to see the stories that I expose and I cover. So the media is against me. Right now I'm poor dirt farmer as long as they have me out there. But when you're on the internet and you're trying to do stories like this, you got a lot of people trying to get your page shut down. And in some cases they succeed. But we'll make a new page and come back. So we're never going to stop exposing what we've seen.
All right, thank you. It was good talking with you.
Take care, man.
Take care. And we are here with DC Accuracy. This is ERCTv. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, could you tell the people a little bit about what you do and why you do it?
Sure. I go out and film government buildings, government employees, taxpayer funded, and what they do with our money. A watchdog of sorts. And I'd like to disseminate a story. Also, I don't cover just that, I cover other stories as well. Good cops, bad cops. Just government accountability.
Right. What would you say your main goal in accomplishing in what you are doing now?
I would like to see the government be more transparent in what they do, but in a bigger picture, I would like to see we as a people, as humans, act like humans, love one another.
Right. And I see there's a lot of division going on, in the world, in our society. How do you feel politics play a part in the division that's going on right now?
Well, it's conquer and divide, of course. You see that every day. They put us in groups and split us off.
Do you feel like religion is playing a factor in what's happening today as well?
To an extent, I do, yes.
Right, right. Because we had a event in Wakulla County. My Eye on You was actually there. And as we were coming into Wakulla County, now this is a Black Lives Matter protest. The first thing we see as counter protesters were Trump supporters with big Trump flags. How do you feel like, you know, with the Black Lives Matter movement, how do you feel like that correlates to people counter protesting with supporting Trump?
Well, the narrative's been lost in the Black Lives Matter, I think, simply because people get word that they're coming to town and then they twist it into looting. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. It did happen in some places, but they're being judgmental right off the get-go about what's happening here locally. They've claimed not to be, and proven it, not to be violent or looting. They're just protesting, redressing the government. That's awarded to every one of us. We're all awarded the same equal rights in the Bill of the Rights, in the Constitution of the United States. We all have the same rights.
Right, right. I was just trying to understand, you know, the correlation between how people feel, you know, bringing something political into something that's addressing police brutality. You know what I mean?
They're misinformed. They don't understand what the movement is about. They think it's a race issue. They don't realize it's a we the people issue, redressing our government on how we're treated as a whole. Even further to that particular race. I don't like to say it like that because that's
Right.
not my flavor, but that's the way I'm going to do it for this segment here.
Right.
They put us in a group, so you're labeled by a color and an age group and a certain demographic. And once that information gets back around to the other side, to the other demographic, it's already been twisted into something else. They're just not informed on what it's about. And a part of it, I think, is a fear thing. They're fearful
Right.
to an extent, I think, is what it is. They should take the time to learn their neighbor, to love their neighbor like they love themselves. If that happened more often, we wouldn't have the problems we have today.
You know, there's that fear and then the lack of knowledge on things. When you're not knowledgeable on things, then, you know, subconsciously that'll cause some type of fear. What would you say has been one of your craziest moments you have filmed, you know, doing what you're doing?
I'm a fairly new channel here in North Florida, and back on July the 1st, I had Poor Dirt Farmer and My Own You meet up with me to address some issues I had locally in Mayo regarding the maintenance of our public library. And we had already concluded our filming for that day and was having lunch, and a townsperson came in and attacked us, shoved us, punched us, sprayed us with spray paint, kind of had his way with the cops, and they just ushered him out the back door of a nearby business and drove him to the jailhouse a block away, unrestrained, because he was their friend. It's peripheral treatment. If it would have been me or you, without a shadow of a doubt, we'd have been handled a lot differently.
No doubt, and I can see how this could be one of the more crazy events that you guys have experienced. This was on World Star, right?
Yeah, from my understanding, it did make it to World Star Hip Hop.
Right, right. So I'm sure, you know, throughout the multiple videos, you know, the screen records, that video has probably been viewed over 1 million times easily.
Oh, it's been a bunch. I haven't counted them all. I think it's, I know it's on our 3 channels. I think you have it on your channel.
Right.
Some of the bigger auditors have shared it, mirrored it. There's no telling. It's several million views, I'm quite sure.
Right, right. What would you like to see happen out of that situation?
The people that don't want to be filmed, you don't like the filming, you don't get to pick and choose how I exercise my rights. just like I don't get to pick and choose how you exercise yours. Stay away. Don't come assault me for doing it. I'm here for you too, not just for myself.
How could people find you on your social media platforms or YouTube?
They can catch me on YouTube under DC Accuracy. DC is capitalized and the A of accuracy is capitalized. I try to keep content coming of relevance. I'll get more content as time goes on. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share my posts.
Before you go, I would like to ask you, how can we make rights more of a right than a privilege?
Rights will always be rights. I understand your question and what you're asking, and I think one way to do that is by filming your government officials, holding them accountable, interactions with the police. There's several different ways that you could do that, but a camera would definitely help. Cameras don't lie. They will always tell the truth.
Now, what do you say about the people who may have fear of exposing police? So how do you feel about people who may have that fear and they have the right to, you know, exercise their First Amendment, but they have that fear to where they don't want to really do it?
I suggest you do it. Get your camera and go film, but go out in groups, strengthen numbers. You know, instead of going out by yourself, get 2 or 3 of your friends to go do it. Educate yourself on the law. Print out the Constitution and some of your local laws around filming and where you can film, and have them on your person when you're out filming. Try to educate.
It was nice talking with you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.